Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AG Chase Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day celebrates the people who are making Coast of Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. Hey, look, if there was a theme to this week's show, it's definitely Cruisin The Coast. We were live yesterday from Town Green. Today, we're going to talk more about cruising and the impact here in coastal Mississippi. But before we go any further, I want to tell you about a show that's coming up next Monday. And it's a really interesting story. So Associate Justice David Ishii from the Supreme Court of Mississippi has a longtime friend that he met while he was doing his legal work named Jack Saltarelli. He's better known as Bojack. And they ended up not only did they develop a great friendship, but they ended up writing a book together of Jack's life. Jack grew up. He was on the streets at 8 years old in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and became a bail bondsman in coastal Mississippi. That's how David met him. But we had them for the whole show on Monday, where we talk about Jack's life, how they came to know each other, this collaboration they did to write the book, and this incredible story of redemption that comes out of it. So it's not only an interesting book about Jack's story, but it's also a book that says to people in the system, so to speak, policemen, lawyers, judges, and others, never to give up on somebody. Everyone, especially depending on where they come from, they need hope in their lives and they need opportunity. And the story of redemption that Jack and David talk about, I think, is an important lesson for us all to learn. There is a story of redemption no matter what your story is. So look forward to that coming on Monday. Hey, before we go to our first guest today, let me bring Kyle into the conversation. And first of all, just say good morning. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a busy week this week. We've been involved in lots of stuff, from live shows to the first edition of the outdoor show. You actually are doing some filling in for people there. So it's been a busy week, hasn't it?
It's been a real busy week, and it continues today and tomorrow.
Well, look, I had the opportunity because, I've had conversations this week with Woody Bailey, and Woody is such a consummate leader of the Cruisin The Coast effort over all of these years. But it is awesome, man, to get out and see all these cruisers on the street. He's estimating well over 9,000 people are going to be here, and you count the number of people who don't register, and that just runs the number up even higher. But it's good to see coastal Mississippi having the red carpet out to so many people coming from all over the United States, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And, this is a great place. A lot of times I'm probably guilty of it too, just kind of take a lot of what we have to offer for granted, and I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. But, talking to people on the show, actually getting out and taking a ride during times like Cruisin The Coast, you really kind of appreciate everything that's here and everything that visitors are coming to see and how much they enjoy it. And, they really do go back and tell their friends that haven't been here before. And 9 times out of 10, their friends are coming the next year.
Yeah. As we, on Monday, Woody brought David Shoemake with him. David's in the construction business. He's a commercial painter, does major projects, but he brought him so that he could be, sort of an example of a local person who's engaged in Cruisin The Coast and owns all these cars. And one of the things that was interesting about the stories he told over all the years, the relationships that he's developed with people literally all over the country. And he talked about like literally going to their kids' weddings and stuff. I mean, they didn't just become acquaintances; they became good friends. And there's so many incredible relationships like that being forged. From people who are outside this area who get to know each other, and from people who are from here engaged in cruising. And you just get a sense of how powerful that connection really is. It was pretty cool to hear that story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And you pretty much see that all over the place of long cruising. You get 9,000-10,000 people together. More than likely that number is really at 12 or 13,000, because there's going to be a good group of people that don't get counted for one reason or another. There's bound to be friendships that spark up, and a lot of them will become lifelong friends.
Yeah, I went to Twitter. I went to Twitter just now, and I just flipped through it. I mean, what I did is a search on Cruisin The Coast 2021, and first thing that pops up is Sun Herald. A lot of photography from the Sun Herald. Being this is the 25th year. Someone else just bragging about it and posting a picture of cars cruising down. Another note from the executive editor and general manager from the Sun Herald, Blake Kaplan, sharing more photos. You've got TV stations from outside this area that are putting stuff up. You've got, of course, local TV stations, WXXV and WLOX, MDOT, and then, just a string of people, betting kings and all these incredible people that are coming in from outside this area. They're all posting for the world to see the great time that they're having here in coastal Mississippi. And as I said to Woody, man, this is probably the most extensive sort of tourism outreach that we do during the year that just showcase the collection of communities that make up coastal Mississippi. It's good to see people bragging about us, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Because it's probably one of those things that I'm guilty of taking for granted. I've been here all my life, and so I see it through different eyes, and I've experienced some of it. I've done the Mardi Gras thing, I've done cruising, and I kind of stay away from it. But it's times like these when you really sit back and reflect on it. It really is it's a good attraction, and it's not big time attraction, big time. The message it sends to the world that we're in business, especially coming out of the pandemic. I mean, we had a pretty good cruising experience last year, but to hit a record this year in the midst of sort of coming out of the pandemic, people feel safer in their cars. Milton Segura said that so many times early on. They marketed in that way, very numbers-based approach, and it paid off. I mean, people are coming here from all over the place. So anyway, let's move over now to Captain Brian Dykes with the Biloxi Police Department. Brian, one of the things I enjoy is being able to have this conversation with people like you, whether it be the mayors or chiefs of police or fire chiefs all along the coast. The amount of effort, the amount of coordination that has to take place to pull off an event like this is pretty dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, we usually start about 3-4 months out, putting the things in place, the aid agreements between different police agencies and different emergency services, AMR, the fire departments, the various police departments here surrounding Biloxi. All of those people are involved in the planning process that goes into making sure that we keep the community safe.
And I know, and it's a good group of people that come in, but some of them maybe drive a little too fast, and maybe they're people who are paying attention to everything but the road and end up ramming somebody from behind. That's kind of part of the deal, isn't it?
Yeah, we tend to deal with that sort of thing every year. But the one thing that people notice immediately are those cones down the center of the highway. And those cones serve a purpose. I mean, other than to annoy you. They serve the purpose of focusing the driver's attention on the fact that he's in a lane. Instead of looking around at all of the really cool cars that are out there and all of the sights that there are to see, it focuses that driver's attention on their lane and kind of keeps them head forward, aware of what's around them.
Yeah, we're going to come back. I want to hear more about the traffic plan in Biloxi, but let's take a step back for a second. You and I, we're just meeting for the first time, so it's a pleasure to meet you. Where are you from, Brian?
I was in the military, so we didn't really have a place that we stayed longer than 2 or 3 years. My father was in the military, I was in the military, and we moved around a lot, but our people are from, I guess you could say, from Mobile.
Yeah. So did you ever come through Keesler?
I was at Keesler 3 different times while I was in the military.
Wow. What did you do? Tell me about what you did there.
I was a special agent with the Office of Special Investigations, which is, if you watch TV at all and you see NCIS, it's that's for the Navy. OSI is the same thing for the Air Force. They're just kind of investigators.
So did your Air Force time take you all over the world, or did you mostly stay in the U.S.?
No, it took me all over. Thailand, South Korea, Portugal, Japan, several places, Indonesia. So, yeah, it took me everywhere.
It gives you a great perspective, doesn't it? You look back and you probably wouldn't trade it for anything, would you?
It does. It gives you some perspective. My daughters found it difficult to believe when we finally settled here in Biloxi and they went to school. They found it difficult to believe that there were some people that had never been out of the state. And of course, they had been all over the place, and it struck them as strange. And I told them, I said, that's simply how it works.
Well, when you travel, and I've said this many times on Coast Vue, I've obviously been all over the United States, had many, many opportunities to leave the country and see other places. When you have that perspective and you come back to a place like coastal Mississippi, it helps you understand sort of where coastal Mississippi fits into the world. And I like to say it gives you greater appreciation for what's in the heart and soul of people who live here. I think, hurricanes contribute to that, but in the heart and soul of coastal Mississippians is we genuinely care about each other, and we're incredibly resilient people, and it makes a big difference. Anyway, this is Captain Brian Dykes from the Biloxi Police Department. When we come back on the other side, we'll talk a little bit more about his career at Biloxi, and then we'll talk about the traffic plan for cruising. See you after this.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices. Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We're having a conversation with Captain Brian Dykes from the Biloxi Police Department. And, you know, it's always interesting, Brian, when we have conversations like this. You never know what's going to come up. But one of the things that I like to talk about when I have military leaders, whether it be from Keesler or the CB base or wherever, that I often talk about how when people come through here, people who have never been here before, but they get stationed here, that they often retire here. You know, they like the retirement atmosphere of Mississippi. They like the hospital system. They like the way people take care of veterans, et cetera, but they love coastal Mississippi. So the relationship between the military community and coastal Mississippi is integrated in more ways than just sort of the official role that they play, but they spin off a lot of retirees into our market, and you being just one of them. But so how long have you been here?
I actually was stationed right out of my boot camp and tech school in 1982, came to Biloxi and was on here 3 different times on and off since then. It's I think the reason that people like retiring here out of the military is personally for me, it's kind of the perfect blend between an urban and a rural environment. You know, it's an urban environment with all of the niceties of a big city, but with that rural mindset, that small town mindset. It's the pace of life. It's that comfortability with your neighbor.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I totally agree. And you know, we've got the big cities. You know, Biloxi's a big city relative to Mississippi. Gulfport's obviously one of the largest cities in the state. But what's cool about where we live is that we're this collection of communities, and each one of them has their own unique sense of place. Gulfport's a little different than Biloxi and Ocean Springs and Goshen, and, you know, and so on. But together they create this region that is so important and so powerful. I mean, we're an economic engine for the state from a tourism point of view. Just think about Ingalls and shipbuilding and Chevron and what they do there. You think about Stennis and what they bring to the table. Mark Henderson, who's an entrepreneur from Hancock County with Lazy Magnolia Brewery. He also has a bunch of patents on sophisticated radar technology. Very, very smart guy. He likes to point out that the number of PhDs that are located in Hancock County are among the highest in the world. And there are more oceanographers in Hancock County than anywhere in the world. So you think about these bookends, you know, again, Stennis on one end and Ingalls on the other, and all this other stuff that's going on in between. It's a special place. It is a great, you're right. There are layers here, but you still have that sort of small town feel, which is one of the things that gives it such a wonderful character. Is that about how you would say it?
That's almost exactly the point I was making, was that it's that feel of community, that sense of togetherness, while you still have all the amenities of being in a larger metropolitan area.
Yeah, it is so cool. So here we have Cruisin The Coast that's going on. We have the Vicari auctions that is happening at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. He tells me it's one of the best, if not the best year he's ever had in terms of the number of cars that are in the auction and people coming in from all over the United States, number of people that are at the auction buying cars. Just a cool time for us. And anytime you get a big influx of people, you better have a serious traffic plan, and your responsibility is literally devising and then ultimately implementing that traffic plan. And, you know, so far so good. So you got to be pretty proud of it, huh?
Well, it's still in its infancy as far as the event goes. Tomorrow is when it really cranks up for the city of Biloxi with the block party, which will be in our downtown area all during the morning hours from 8 to 3. And that's where we shut down the streets in the heart of downtown Biloxi and use it for parking and for pedestrian walkways. So people are free to walk around and look at the cars that are there. That's really the kickoff point for the city of Biloxi being involved in the event. Now the Coliseum's here, and that's where the registration occurs and the auction. But really the first major event that we have for Cruisin is going to be that block party.
And then you have just the number of people who are just cruising the Highway 90, Beach Boulevard. And that, I mean, that's just, I always say that's like the destination. That's where people want to be, isn't it?
That's the place to see and be seen. That's a fact. It's where everybody takes their car for people to admire, and it's where all the people go to admire the cars. So
yeah. Just as we're doing this, I'm at my house on Back Bay, and I don't live far from Pops Ferry Road Bridge, so I can hear cars going across the bridge. And then on Highway 90, when the wind is blowing just the right way, it sort of echoes across the bay. So I'm hearing this like roar of engines that are in the background. But it'd be interesting to know actually how much gas is burned during cruising. You venture a guess on that?
I can't venture a guess on that, but every once in a while, Mr. Woody with Cruisin, Woody Bailey, they'll have an economic impact study done, I think every 5 years. And I think that goes into that economic impact, the amount of gasoline that's sold, of course, the hotel rooms, the amount of food that's consumed, all of those things go into that economic impact. But I guess it's not unusual. Sometime a couple of years ago, we would see gas stations run out of gas. So
that's a big deal. Speaking of Woody, so interesting. Woody is known at so many different levels. He's known by people who have been coming to this event for, since it started. He's known by people like you who are involved in helping devise traffic plans. He's just been this ultimate ambassador for cruising. He's been sort of the glue that keeps this vision together and the culture of cruising alive and well. But he's really a good advocate and a great ambassador, isn't he?
He's a wonderful guy. I met Mr. Woody several years ago when I first started doing these type of events here in the city, and he's always been. It's always good when you have an event this size. If there's one person that you can put your finger on to get things done or to address problems or to give attaboys to, it's always best if there's that one person, and Woody Bailey is that one person for this event.
He is. And what's interesting about him, I had him on the show Monday, specifically Monday, we talked about how, the history of the event. But when you look at Woody, it hasn't really changed in 10 or 15 years. He looks about the same, and he's got that cool, calm demeanor. I'm sure that down deep he's probably frantic, but he certainly doesn't show it, does he?
He gives me, Mr. Woody gives me the idea of a duck. Pond. Nice and calm on the surface, but the feet going 90 miles an hour underneath. That's the feeling I get from Mr. Woody.
He's got a lot of friends in coastal Mississippi. Got a note from Rick Carter yesterday and Roy Anderson, and then, several others that just say it's great to see Woody continue to get so much attention for his leadership at cruising over all these years. And he's not a guy that's looking to get any attention, man. He just wants this event to go smoothly. And over the years, he's developed such a sense of the kind of people who need to be involved and what the plans need to be and all of that. And he relies on the folks who are in charge, like you in the city of Biloxi, as it relates to the traffic plan. He trusts you, and he trusts everybody else involved in it, and you know that. And you guys sort of embrace this. But when you add up all these plans across all of these cities and all this stuff, I mean, it is a mountain of a project plan. You know that well, coming from where you came from in the military. It's a very complex plan where all the pieces have to fit together to pull it off.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. That's a fact.
So let me ask you a question. When you're out and about, do you take a special effort to talk to people who are in town and just ask them how they're doing? What's your observation about sort of the face-to-face contact that you're getting?
We do. Here at the Biloxi Police Department, we enjoy a really comfortable relationship with the community that we serve. And that translates during these events to officers taking the time to just talk to people that pull up. Sometimes an officer's busy doing whatever he's doing in the traffic plan, but if he's got the moment and somebody walks up and says, "Hey, where's a good place to eat?" or "Hey, what should I go see while I'm down here?" the officer will take that time to point those things out and just talk to people as people instead of officer to citizen. It would be person to person.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I've had the opportunity to visit with your chief on a number of occasions. And this sort of community outreach, this connection with the community, is something that's, if you had to write a book about him, you would say his claim to fame is how he preaches that connection is really important. It's important when you're doing sort of like neighborhood-based, crime prevention, or whether it's when you pull someone over, you can be nice to them, even if you're giving them a ticket. If you're welcoming someone to the community, you just want to see if they're having a good time. But that community outreach is something you guys preach, isn't it?
It is. It's one of the core and tenant values here at the Biloxi Police Department, and we don't do it to pay dividends, but it pays dividends on a daily basis. It's important that the community be able to trust what the police department is telling them. And it's important for us to be able to be open and honest with the community that we serve.
Well, Captain Brian Dykes, it's been a pleasure to meet you. I hope you continue to have an amazing Cruisin the Coast, and maybe we'll have you back on to talk about some other subjects someday. But I appreciate you joining me.
Oh, anytime. Just give me a call.
Okay, Brian, have a great day, and we'll see you after this.
Thank you.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Get the scoop on what happened in college football and what to expect in the NFL. Each Sunday on Sports Sunday with Michael Borky. Get the story behind the stats, 8 to 10 a.m. on SuperTalk Mississippi, supertalk.fm, and watch the show on supertalk.tv. SuperTalk Mississippi. We're more than just words. This is where the story of your state is told. Proud to cover the Magnolia State like nobody else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard to find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and,
Wow.
all this stuff was going on at the same time. / / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation with Captain Brian Dykes from the Biloxi Police Department. You know, kind of getting a look into the traffic plan that has to be in place in each of the cities. You know, we're very fortunate here in coastal Mississippi to have such great law enforcement organizations that can sort of work together in tandem to make sure that there's a good flow of traffic from city to city. Can't say enough good things about the law enforcement community. I mean, this particular event, I don't know how many cars are actually here. Over 10,000 cars, maybe, 9,000 registered or something north of that, and a bunch of others that didn't register. But there's a lot of people here and a lot of coastal Mississippians enjoying the festivities as well. And we've got to have a coordinated plan and across all the law enforcement groups and first responders and cities. And oh, man, it's a lot of work, a lot of layers, and Woody Bailey has got his hands full. So let's shift gears now and bring in my friend Cynthia Sutton, who is the executive director for the Ocean Springs Chamber of Commerce, and also over the Main Street Tourism Bureau. How you doing, Cynthia?
Hey, good. We are busy this week, but we're doing great over here in Ocean Springs.
Yeah, the theme of this show, this week's shows has been cruising, and more cruising. And one of the things I did at the beginning of the show before we went to Brian Dykes, the captain from Police Department at Biloxi, was that I talked a little bit about how people are really taking it all in. Some of our guests we've had this week and the conversations we've had. I went to Twitter. If you just go to Twitter and do a search, Cruisin The Coast, look at what pops up. Of course, a lot of the local media and local people that are posting pictures and stories, etc. But really, people from all over the country are posting, their perspective on what cruising looks like from where they're standing. And it's amazing the outreach that's happening this week, isn't it?
It is. It is. People started coming in over the weekend. Usually each year you kind of see, a couple of days before. It's getting to now they're coming in a week before. They're excited. The cars were parked in our parking lot all last week and this week to be a part of the events. It's amazing. And it's really cool to see, like you said on Twitter, the pictures and everything of their cars. Those people have spent a lot of time, taking care of their babies. So it's really cool.
It is. I came in from my place up in the Delta over the weekend, and I can't tell you how many cars I passed, how many cars on trailers as they sort of working their way south. But, the big days are today, tomorrow, and Saturday, this being Thursday, and for Ocean Springs, that is. But, the truth is the whole week's a big week for Ocean Springs because people just are taking in Beach Boulevard, coming across the bridge, driving into downtown Ocean Springs, taking that in. I mean, it's great to be able to come in and park somewhere along the road in Ocean Springs and then just get out of your car and watch the other cars pass by. So it's sort of like this nonstop parade, isn't it?
Right. It is, and that's what it is in Ocean Springs. We're really, fortunate to have our cool little downtown area, and that's where most of the cars are. Ocean Springs is already busy with cars. All of our shops have they have window signs that say "Welcome Cruisers." So everybody is just they're happy and celebrating this event this year. It's really good to see.
So we're going to go through what's going to happen the next couple of days, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. But you also got the Peter Anderson Festival coming up. So there's no rest for the weary for you guys in the chamber, is there?
No, not at all.
So, okay. Go ahead.
We're seeing a little bit of tourism pickup for these events as well. So that's cool.
I know you have. Okay. So give me a sense of what's happening in Ocean Springs over the next couple of days.
Okay, so a really cool thing happened this year. The main stage of all the events, all the activities is literally here in the L&N Depot Plaza parking lot. The historic train depot where the Welcome Center is. We actually have the main stage here in our parking lot this year. So it's really cool. It's really different. So a lot of activity, a lot going on. Today is the start of our main 3 days. So we have music all day, 9 to 5. Today, Friday, Saturday. Friday is our big day in Ocean Springs. We go from 9 a.m. till midnight, really, in Ocean Springs on Friday. We have the cruising venue from 9 to 5, and then from 5 to 9, we have a lineup of some amazing music with the Tip Tops, the Departure, like the Real Journey tribute band is going to be here tomorrow night. We do car contest on Friday. We give away money. We give away gift cards. Girls are in poodle skirts all day on Friday. So it's a really fun week for us. And then Saturday, we just live off the fun for one more day.
I love live off the fun. Poodle skirts and cars and sort of this classic downtown area we call Ocean Springs.
Yep.
It's an exciting time for the city, isn't it?
It is. Our local businesses, this is how they sustain. This is how Cruisin and Peter Anderson, this is how they're going to be able to make it till the spring. We in Ocean Springs, we don't have a big box. We don't have casinos. So our economic drivers are festivals like this, and these are the Cruisin and Peter Anderson are the main two that actually help those businesses.
You're lucky, my friend. People like Joe Cloyd and Roxy Condry and her husband and others, the investments that they're making in boutique hotels and continuing to expand in that regard. I would say that Ocean Springs is finding its unique personality when it comes to a cool place to stay, isn't it?
It is, and just like you said, those wonderful partners in the community, they're finding cool and creative ways to grow. In Ocean Springs, we really can't go out too much with our economic development, and we are a tourist destination. So they're bringing some of these really cool places. If you haven't, I'm sure you have, seen the inside of the Hemingway, it is absolutely gorgeous, and it showcases Ernest Hemingway, who's a writer, and in Ocean Springs, we're all about the art. So I love how they merge all that into the eclecticness of our town.
So as you look forward to the Peter Anderson Festival, your goal has been all along with the, we still are in a pandemic, but people enjoy outside. This is an outdoor event for the most part. You've been really barreling toward having as close to sort of a typical Peter Anderson Festival as you possibly could have. What's the latest on that?
Well, we're still going to space the vendors out one more year, and we're spacing them out 6 feet apart. So whereas in years past, we had 450 artists and crafters, last year we had 225. This year we're going to have 300. And guess what? Probably going to stay at that, spaced out, higher quality. So it's kind of unique to see that what COVID did actually kind of helped us kind of reorganize Peter Anderson. So we're going to have 300 vendors in the downtown area and trying to be as normal as possible. We still want people to be safe, social distance. So like I said, the booths will be spread out 6 feet apart, but it's going to be amazing. And like you said, we are trying to be as normal as possible. And this is our new norm now, and we're happy about it too.
Okay, so Peter Anderson, Walter Anderson, the Anderson family, Shearwater Pottery, all this stuff. Talk to me about the significance of the name of this festival.
Right. Well, Well, Peter Anderson, of course, is one of the three brothers of the Anderson family, Peter, Walter, and James McConnell Anderson. Peter is he's the potter of the family. So this festival was actually created in 1978 to honor him. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that how much the Anderson family inspired the economic development of our town. You know, their mom created an art colony and made all three of the children do some piece of artwork every day, whether it was writing, painting, whatever it was. Well, when she inspired them to do that and inspired the art colony, people started coming and staying here. And then what happened there? Then people started moving here. Then people started building here. So the Anderson family, Peter, Walter, James McConnell Anderson, the legacy that is still here today with John, with Chris Stabley, all of those folks really play a major role in the economic development, in addition to the art, the drive, and the creativity of Ocean Springs. And I think some people don't really realize that, just how impactful that family was to our community. So by doing just the simple Peter Anderson Festival, simple, it's quite large, but the Peter Anderson Festival is just a small way to say, you know, thank you to the Anderson family for everything they've done for this community.
It really is. It really is amazing. Like in my house, for example, Chris Stabley, I have a painting from him in one of our bathrooms. And then I have the Walter Anderson alligator on the wall in one of our bedrooms. And, you know, that local art, that local feel, that unique approach that they have. And you can see that Chris and his art was significantly impacted by Walter Anderson's style. Yep. But it is incredible. I had Robert St. John on recently, and as you know, he finished up his book on Walter Anderson, maybe the most definitive book on Walter Anderson that has been done. And of course, Julian Rankin from the Walter Anderson Museum. I love to have him on because he's so articulate. I mean, Julian, when he talks about art and the role that landscapes play in inspiring us, and inspiring our artists, and the connection that they have to the sense of place that exists in places like Ocean Springs, we're very lucky to have people like that, aren't we?
We are. I mean, it's so fun to work with Julian. Like, he's done that recent art walk, crosswalk in downtown Ocean Springs. I don't know if you saw him at the Renaissance, the runway. You know, he is a character, and he is so fun to work with and just very inspiring. Super talented. It will be interesting watching him to see where his career goes. But anyway, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Cynthia Sutton and see what else is going on inside the Chamber of Commerce in Ocean Springs these days. We'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We're having a conversation with Cynthia Sutton from the Ocean Springs Chamber and also Main Street Tourism Bureau. And again, if there's a theme in this week's shows, it's Cruisin the Coast, but it's also celebrating the events that are part of coastal Mississippi. Because in the case of the Ocean Springs area, you've got events that are happening today, tomorrow, and Saturday, and then they're planning for the Peter Anderson Festival, which is a super exciting time. Cruising though, let's come back to cruising for a second, Cynthia, before we get to Chamber and the latest in your world outside of your events. Cruising is probably, well, I don't want to say probably, is the most significant ultimate tourism outreach project that we're involved in. And you think about where people are coming from. We had David Shoemake on the he's actually a local guy involved in commercial painting, et cetera. But he's involved as a local, has a bunch of cars. And he was telling us about meeting people from all over the country. And they have become such good friends over the years that they actually go to each other's kids' weddings and stuff. I mean, these aren't just casual relationships that are growing out of this. So when I talk about outreach and the connection between places like Canada and Ocean Springs, for example, that stuff is real and it makes a difference, doesn't it?
It really does. You know, like the car contest that we're doing tomorrow night, it's called the Chicks Picks Car Contest. And, you know, some of the girls that have been the chicks for the last few years have literally made lifelong friendships with some of these car folks. You know, one of my staff actually went to lunch with one of them a couple years back. Because they gave them the award, and then, you know, so each year when they come into town, they've already made a friend, and they're like from, you know, somewhere up north of the United States. They're not even local. And it's interesting, the relationships and the friendships that you make throughout it. Just, you know, when everybody's here, when all the folks are here traveling, from the different venues just to be here. It's almost like a real family once they get here. Like everybody, like when they walk into the visitor center, you know, we're like, welcome. They'll come back and tell us where they ate lunch, where they're staying at. You know, it's a big family type of thing from everyone all over the U.S. and beyond now. It's really neat to see that.
You know, it is awesome to see that. So outside of the events, what are you guys thinking about these days at the Chamber?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, you know, events are our main thing. We're also, you know, really working on economic development in Ocean Springs. You know, we have a new mayor, Mayor Kenny Holloway, and some of that actually real estate and things like that is his background. So it's interesting to see some of those projects happening and starting to grow with him. Of course, our former mayor put some of those things in motion. So now you're going to start to see a few things start to develop in Ocean Springs. We have, you know, a new grocery store coming. We have a couple of subdivisions that are coming into town. You know, we're looking at some other venues, vacant lots. What can we do to kind of grow that and change that? The city's looking at their strategic plan going forward and things like that of just how we can revitalize and grow Ocean Springs. So that's a really cool area. And again, of course, the usual city infrastructure that's been going on for a few years. People don't understand that takes a long time to make those things actually happen. So you're starting to see all those things happen in Ocean Springs. So we're excited for that. And our business community, you know, as we hopefully are coming, you know, out of COVID, we still have COVID around, but they're getting back to normal. Their storefronts are vibrant and getting colorful. And now that they're all on social media now, it's just a whole different world, really, in business.
It's exciting to see Kenny in that position. Another Holloway as mayor, as you and I have talked about before. Right. But with AJ, you know, he was able to work so closely with AJ over all those years and learned a lot from him. Having been an entrepreneur himself in multiple different businesses, but most recently and for so many years involved in real estate. So you've got a guy who is mayor that understands the value of you know, real estate and how to create value in the community, because the more value you create, right, the tax base gets better. And he knows too that you can't just haphazardly work your way through this. You can't let serendipity prevail. You got to have a plan. So he's focused on the strategic plan. He's focused on infrastructure, as you pointed out. Currently, I think the price tag's over $30 million, but as it gets informed by the strategic planning process, you know, that number could actually change. And we're in a good spot right now because of the money that's coming down because of the pandemic that's sitting there in Jackson. I think $1.8 billion. A large portion of that's going to be used to help cities in their infrastructure plans. So places like Biloxi, where your sister works, Biloxi had the opportunity because of Katrina rebuild all of its infrastructure, at least the majority of it. In the case of Ocean Springs, they rebuilt some infrastructure after Katrina, but didn't have the damage that Biloxi had, for example. So your needs are greater, and we're lucky that money's hanging out there and that Kenny's got something to tap into. But he's focused on getting organized, and he's involving as many people in that process as he can. That's fun to watch, isn't it?
It is, you know, it really is. And I'm glad that we have that group, you know, the coast-wide group down from the governor that's getting to take part in helping, you know, give recommendations on where that money should go to. So I'm really excited. You know, all the Chamber of Commerce directors get to be a part of that. So that's really cool and exciting because we just, you know, just like what you said, you know, each city has its own different ways of growth, its own different things. So we're excited to see what we can do in Ocean Springs. And like I said, there's always so many things. You know, the east side of town is a huge focus for us now to grow that and just see what we can do to make it more vibrant, more unique, authentic, and creative.
Yeah, I am pulling for Ocean Springs, and I'm going to enjoy watching Kenny and his team work toward improving that situation and making it even better. So Cynthia Sutton from Ocean Springs Chamber, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good luck with cruising, and we'll see you tomorrow. You bet.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.